Again? The Roo from Waterloo is injured again?
Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury.
Caitlin Clark made the WNBA relevant, and what does she get in return?
Caitlin Clark is out again, and the truth behind her injury is more shocking than anyone could have imagined. The Indiana Fever's brightest star sidelined on June 25, 2025, and is caught in a storm of risky decisions, lingering injuries, and a failing system. Have the Fever become so consumed with chasing wins that they're gambling with their players' safety?
Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury.
Caitlin Clark is out again, and it's the kind of news that stops you in your tracks. Her left groin injury isn't just another headline. It's a blow to the Indiana Fever, to WNBA fans, and frankly, to the league itself. When the announcement dropped late on June 25, 2025, the ripple effects were immediate. Social media lit up with fans venting frustration, concern, and confusion. Why was Caitlin even playing when the signs of discomfort were there for all to see?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
It's hard to trust that Coach Steph White didn't know about this until last night.
Coach Stephanie White addressed the media, calling it a day-to-day situation, but the vagueness didn't do much to calm the storm. Fans couldn't help but remember the last time Caitlin missed games. The league's ratings tanked by over 50%. This isn't just about one player. It's about what she means to the Fever and the WNBA as a whole.
It seems like there have been multiple occasions where it had been bothering her and nobody just knew to what extent that was.
But let's take a step back. This injury didn't just come out of nowhere. It's part of a troubling pattern that started months ago. Before the season even tipped off, Caitlin was dealing with a quad strain. It sidelined her for 5 games, and while she seemed to make a heroic comeback, the signs of trouble never truly went away.
Thank God they get Caitlin Clark. She's injured for 2 weeks. All of a sudden, attendance goes down.
WNBA television ratings down more than 50%.
Caitlin Clark's return to the court after her quad injury was nothing short of jaw-dropping. When she stepped onto the hardwood against the undefeated New York Liberty, it was like she had something to prove, and oh boy did she deliver.
Caitlin Clark achieved the impossible.
But here's the thing, her comeback was so spectacular, so mind-blowing, that it raised an uncomfortable question. Was it too good to be true?
Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her on the court.
In the moment, no one wanted to think about it. How could they? Caitlin was on fire, scoring 9 points in less than 45 seconds early in the game. It was like watching a human highlight reel. Yet even as she dominated, eagle-eyed fans noticed subtle signs that something wasn't quite right.
The Indiana Fever are up by 8 points, and Caitlin Clark was on the bench. A lot of us thought that she was done for the evening, but Coach Stephanie White put her back in, and as you can see with this play here, she gets a handoff from Aaliyah Boston, and then she fumbles the ball a little bit, and she falls to the ground.
The leg tape was still there, a quiet reminder of her recent quad injury. And while her numbers were stunning, her movements weren't as fluid as usual. There were moments, small ones, easy to miss, when her energy dipped, her stride seemed just a little off. Still, the Fever rode her brilliance to a crucial win, moving their record to 5-5 and reigniting hopes for the season.
Watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points.
But then came the games after. The dazzling Caitlin Clark, who tore apart the Liberty, was suddenly struggling to find her rhythm. It was as if that explosive performance had drained her. Over the next 3 games, the numbers told a different story, a troubling one. She made just 1 3-pointer in 23 attempts. Let that sink in. For a player of her caliber, that's not a slump. That's a nosedive.
But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans. It was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does.
The fans, always quick to notice, started asking questions. Why wasn't Caitlin hyping up the crowd like she used to? Where was the fire, the energy, the sheer joy she usually brought to every game?
I think Caitlin's hurt. I'm not going to be surprised if sometime soon the Indiana Fever pulls her and sits her for a few games. I think she is still battling some sort of injury.
Fans speculated that her body language was different, quieter. Her pregame routines were altered. Even her interactions with teammates seemed subdued. It wasn't just her performance that was off. It was her presence. And as much as fans wanted to believe she was simply having an off week, the signs pointed to something deeper.
The news dropped from the Fever.
The groin injury announcement soon followed, confirming what many had suspected. Caitlin wasn't fully recovered. She had come back too soon, and her body was paying the price. It's the kind of situation that's all too common in professional sports. A player feels the pressure to return, pushes through the pain, and ends up making things worse.
Quad injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation.
The groin injury wasn't just bad luck, it was a ripple effect from her quad strain. When one part of the body isn't 100%, it forces other parts to compensate. And that's exactly what happened here. Caitlin's mechanics were off, and it showed in her shooting slump and increased turnovers. The Fever needs to play the long game here. Caitlin is too important to this team and to the WNBA to risk her future for short-term gains. That means giving her the time she needs to heal, even if it means missing a few more games, or even weeks.
She might have done well statistically, although she didn't shoot well from 3, and I know a lot of people were wondering why is she in this shooting slump.
For fans, it's tough to see her sidelined again, especially after glimpsing the heights she can reach. But the Caitlin Clark who lit up the Liberty will be back. She just needs the right recovery, the right support, and most importantly, the time to get there. Because when she's at her best, there's no one like Caitlin Clark. And if the Fever handle this right.
So the last thing you want is her compensating or her groin not firing properly, and she goes to cut to the side and then all of a sudden something blows in her knee. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So
when it comes to injuries in professional sports, there's a fine line between bravery and recklessness. Caitlin Clark's story is a perfect example of how easily that line can blur. Playing through pain might look heroic, but as we've seen, it can quickly spiral into something much more dangerous. Caitlin's groin strain wasn't just bad luck. It was a classic case of compensation injuries.
If you have an injury and you don't allow it to heal all the way, your body starts compensating in other ways. And I'm not sure if she initially got this injury because of the amount of muscle that she put on during the off season.
Here's how it works. When one part of your body is hurt, like Caitlin's quad earlier in the season, your body adjusts to keep you moving. Sounds good in theory, right? Wrong. That adjustment throws off your mechanics, shifting stress to other areas. In Caitlin's case, it was her groin. And let me tell you, groin injuries are no joke. They're the slow-healing, nagging kind that can ruin entire seasons if not handled with care.
In her pregame routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right.
Adding to the problem, Caitlin bulked up during the offseason, gaining muscle mass faster than her mechanics could adapt. For Caitlin, that something was her ability to move fluidly on the court, shoot with precision, and keep up her usual explosive pace.
But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen.
The real danger here isn't just the groin injury itself, it's the risk of what could happen if Caitlin comes back too soon. Groin injuries mess with your balance, making cuts, pivots, and even simple movements unpredictable. That unpredictability is a breeding ground for serious injuries. Think ACL tears or hip damage. And it's not just speculation. History is full of athletes who rushed back from injury only to face catastrophic consequences. Derrick Rose, Kevin Durant. The list goes on. Caitlin's talent and career are too valuable to gamble with.
It's a new injury, and a lot of fans are not buying that at all.
Which brings us to the Indiana Fever. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why was Caitlin put in such a risky position in the first place? Coach Stephanie White admitted she didn't know about Caitlin's groin issue until late the night before the official announcement. Let that sink in. How does the head coach not know the condition of her star player? especially when fans could see something was wrong from the stands.
What if the women decide we gonna focus and lock in on the WNBA?
This isn't the first time the Fever's handling of players has come under fire. Remember the Dana Bonner situation? The team cited personal reasons for her absence, only for fans to later find out that the story didn't quite add up. Trust in the organization is already shaky, and Caitlyn's case isn't helping.
Again, we don't know how bad it is.
What the hell is going on with WNBA that they cannot handle all this attention that they're getting?
Here's the dilemma. Caitlyn is the face of the franchise. Without her, the Fever lose more than just games. They lose momentum, fan engagement, and let's face it, revenue. But at what cost? Balancing the team's immediate needs with the long-term health of their star player is a tightrope walk. And right now, it feels like the Fever are wobbling. Because here's the truth, Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. And if we want to keep seeing those jaw-dropping performances, those 30-point games, and those viral moments, we need to let her heal. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to get more updates on WNBA season 2025.